Breaking tonight, President Obama takes another shot at the Christian faithful, suggesting during an Easter breakfast that he is concerned by, quote, less than loving Christians. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. Earlier today, the president using his annual Easter prayer breakfast, which was offered today on this Tuesday, to express his disappointment with some practicing Christians. Listen.
On Easter, I do reflect on the fact that as a Christian, I am supposed to love. And I have to say that sometimes when I listen to less than loving expressions by Christians, I get concerned. But that's a topic for another day.
One might assume the president was making a reference there to the fight over Indiana's religious freedom law, but the White House later refused to comment on the president's meaning. Nevertheless, his remarks come as Christians are increasingly being targeted by terrorists worldwide. Remember, it was just last week that more than 140 people died at the hands of Islamic terrorists at a university in Kenya. Witnesses say the killers specifically singled out Christians for execution. In February, the world was horrified as 21 Egyptian Christians were marched to their deaths in Libya, forced to kneel down before they had their throats slit. Yet the White House chose to identify these victims at the time as Egyptian citizens. All this comes as the Pope becomes increasingly vocal about the plight of Christians being targeted for their faith, repeatedly warning the world this Easter weekend not to turn a blind eye to the atrocities being committed. Tony Perkins is president of the Family Research Council. Tony, good to see you tonight. And so it doesn't seem that there is much doubt what the president was referring to, as pundits from both sides of the aisle have suggested he was referring to the Indiana religious freedom law and seems to be passing a rather harsh judgment on it.
Well, Megyn, you're right. I think that's true. What saddens me most is not the president's consistent swipes at Orthodox Christianity. It's another missed opportunity in which this was the prayer breakfast, as you pointed out, for Easter, in which the president once again failed to bring attention to the persecution of Christians around the world, persecuted for nothing more than the fact that they embrace Jesus Christ and they follow him. We're talking about moms and dads, brothers and sisters. As you pointed out, on Friday, 150 students in Kenya killed, separated, Muslims, Christians separated, the Christians were killed. The White House didn't acknowledge that. And that's the problem here, is that we see this is not happening, Megyn, in a vacuum. And I think there's a reason the president doesn't want to talk about this persecution of Christians, because in part his policies are responsible. The growing hostility toward Christianity here at home is fostering an environment where tyrants and terrorists feel free to kill people, to kill Christians because of their faith.
Well, no, I mean, don't you think that's taking it a bit too far? I mean, President Obama, he's not exactly out there defending, the Christians in Indiana and elsewhere who have sincerely held religious beliefs, and that's a difficult issue. But to say that his policies are leading to the murders of Christians.
I am saying that his policies are fostering an environment in which tyrants and terrorists feel that America no longer places a high priority on religious freedom and the protection of the oppressed. And in that shadow that he has cast with these policies, we see more and more Christians being persecuted, their lives taken from them in faraway places. You cannot escape the fact that what America does has consequences elsewhere.
Of course, he went in when the Yazidis, the Christians in Iraq, were being attacked by ISIS. And so the president has not sat by idly in all instances. But this, to me, you tell me if I'm wrong, this comment today at an Easter prayer breakfast seemed directed at a national political issue, an issue that he himself was on the other side of just 2 years ago. In 2012, he said he opposed gay marriage. When he was running for this job that he holds right now, this is what he told Pastor Rick Warren very publicly. Listen.
I believe that marriage is the union between a man and a woman. Now, for me as a Christian, it's also a sacred union.
Was that, a less than loving expression by a Christian that gets him concerned, as he now claimed this morning?
Well, apparently in the president's eyes and the vice president's eyes, yes. The position that a majority of Americans still hold today, that they view marriage as a union of a man and a woman, is unacceptable to the president today, and is bigoted and is hateful, according to him. And again, these domestic policies that this president is pushing, that is fostering this intolerance. And what Indiana was about, not to rehash that issue, but it was simply to allow people to live their lives according to their faith. It wasn't to deny anyone anything or take anything away from anybody. It was simply to allow people of genuine faith to live their lives according to their faith. And that's what America has been about since its very inception.
You know, this is not the first time. So this is the Easter prayer breakfast, okay? Like the holiest holiday in Christianity, Easter.
Right.
So this is an Easter prayer breakfast at which he takes, goes off script to criticize Christians. And then this happened not long ago at the National Prayer Breakfast, where he decided there to lecture Christians about not being on their high horse when it comes to judging radical Islamic terrorists. Remember this?
Lest we get on our high horse and think this is unique to some other place, remember that during the Crusades and the Inquisition, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ.
I mean, the question is whether those comments do real damage, not just to morale among Christians about what their own president thinks of them, but to the enemy. Not paving the way for an argument that he's causing deaths, but that they feel he won't stand up for Christians who are under threat.
Look, in a nation where almost 80% of people, America, identify as Christian, to have a president that is continually dismissive of Christianity, there is no question that sends a message to bad people in places far away that will do bad things as a result. Look, America has long been seen as the beacon of light, hope, and freedom, and that has been fostered by our Christian ethic. And we have been a defender of all faiths. That's why this president can get away with saying these things, because Christianity is tolerant. Christianity allows these things. We allow other people of other faith to live here. We welcome them. But we want to exercise our faith too. And I would take instruction from the Apostle Paul, who, as a Roman citizen, he challenged his government and he demanded his rights. And I think it's time that, and I think it's happening, that more and more Christians are going to exercise their rights and demand their rights as American citizens to be free to express their faith and live it here in this country.
Tony Perkins, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Megyn.